The city was unusually quiet that night, the kind of silence that made every footstep echo louder than it should. Streetlights flickered along the sidewalk, casting long shadows across the cracked pavement. Marcus Reed tightened his grip on his daughter Lily's small hand as they walked home from the late bus stop. Being a single dad had taught him to stay alert, especially after dark. Lily skipped beside him, humming softly, her backpack bouncing against her shoulders. She was only 7, yet she had a way of noticing things adults often missed. As they passed a narrow alley, her humming stopped. "Daddy," she whispered. Marcus slowed. Ahead, under the dim glow of a broken streetlight, 2 men stood too close to a woman pressed against a brick wall. Her purse lay on the ground, its contents spilled. One of the men laughed, the sound sharp and cruel. Marcus's instincts flared, his body tensed but his mind raced. He was no hero. He worked long shifts at a warehouse and barely made enough to keep a roof over their heads. Getting involved could mean trouble, police questions, injuries, worse. Lily's fingers tightened around his. He looked down and saw fear in her eyes, not for herself but for the woman. "Daddy, please help her," she whispered, her voice trembling. Marcus followed her gaze back to the woman. He saw panic on her face, the silent plea in her eyes. Something deep inside him stirred, something older than fear, stronger than logic. He knelt slightly, meeting Lily's eyes. "Stay behind me," he said softly. He stepped forward, his heart pounding. "Hey," he called out, keeping his voice steady. "Let her go." The men turned, surprised. One sneered. "Walk away, old man." Marcus didn't. Years of physical labor had hardened his body, and years of fatherhood had hardened his resolve. When one of the men lunged, Marcus reacted without thinking. He moved fast, deflecting the attack, using momentum and instinct rather than brute force. Within moments that felt like hours, both men were on the ground, stunned and scrambling to escape. They fled into the darkness, leaving behind silence, and a woman shaking but unharmed. Marcus's hands trembled as the adrenaline faded. Lily stepped out from behind him and hugged his leg tightly. The woman looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. Marcus nodded, already scanning the street. He didn't know it yet, but that single moment, sparked by a child's plea, had just changed their lives forever. Morning light crept through the thin curtains of Marcus Reed's small apartment, painting soft lines across the worn furniture. The night's events still clung to him like a shadow. His knuckles ached, and every time he closed his eyes, he saw the woman's terrified face and Lily's pleading eyes. Lily sat at the tiny kitchen table, swinging her legs as she ate cereal. "Daddy," she said casually, "the lady last night was really scared." Marcus nodded, pouring himself a cup of coffee. "You did the right thing," he replied. "You spoke up." A sudden knock at the door froze him mid-sip. 3 sharp knocks, firm, controlled. Marcus set the mug down slowly. His mind jumped to worst-case scenarios. Police charges, trouble he couldn't afford. He motioned for Lily to stay seated and approached the door cautiously. When he opened it, a man in a tailored suit stood in the hallway, flanked by 2 security guards. The man's presence filled the narrow space. Calm, authoritative, out of place. "Mr. Marcus Reed?" the man asked. "Yes," Marcus answered, his voice steady despite the tension in his chest. "My name is Thomas Hale," the man said. "I'm here on behalf of my employer. We're looking for the man who helped a woman on East 14th Street last night." Marcus felt his stomach tighten. "I didn't want any trouble," he said quickly. Thomas raised a hand. "You're not in trouble, quite the opposite." He stepped aside slightly, revealing a black luxury sedan parked below. Sunlight gleamed off its polished surface, a stark contrast to the chipped paint of the apartment building. "The woman you helped," Thomas continued, "is the daughter of our company's CEO." Marcus blinked. The words didn't register at first. "She didn't mention that," Marcus said quietly. "She wouldn't," Thomas replied. "She was shaken, but she was safe because of you." Lily peeked around the corner, her curiosity overpowering her fear. Thomas noticed her and smiled gently. "You must be Lily." She nodded. "The CEO wants to meet you," Thomas said, returning his attention to Marcus. "He insists." Marcus hesitated. He had never set foot in an office taller than 5 stories, let alone imagined meeting someone like a CEO. "I'm just a warehouse worker," he said. "I didn't do it for—" "I know," Thomas interrupted softly. "That's exactly why he wants to see you." Marcus looked down at Lily, who gave him a small, encouraging smile. He exhaled slowly. "All right," he said, "we'll come." As the elevator doors closed behind them, Marcus had no idea what awaited him. Only that the choice he made the night before was about to echo far beyond that dark alley. The corporate tower rose like a wall of glass and steel, reflecting the sky in perfect symmetry. Marcus had never seen a building so tall. He held Lily's hand tightly as they stepped inside, the polished marble floor echoing beneath their feet. Everything about the place felt expensive, quiet, controlled, powerful. They were escorted to the top floor. The elevator doors opened to a spacious office flooded with natural light. A man stood by the window, his back to them. He turned slowly. "Mr. Reed," the man said. His voice was calm, but his eyes were intense. "I'm Richard Hale." Marcus recognized the name immediately. The CEO whose company logo he passed every day on delivery trucks. Richard stepped forward, his gaze briefly softening as it fell on Lily. "This is my daughter," Marcus said. Lily smiled shyly. Richard exhaled and nodded. "Then you understand," he said quietly. "Last night my daughter was in danger and you didn't hesitate." "I did hesitate," Marcus admitted, "but my daughter didn't." He looked down at Lily. "She told me to help." Richard's expression changed. He knelt in front of Lily, meeting her eye level. "Thank you," he said. "Because of you, my daughter came home." Lily beamed. Richard stood and turned back to Marcus. "I've spent my life building security systems, private guards, walls meant to protect what I love. And yet, when it mattered most, protection came from a man with nothing to gain." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't do it for reward." "I know," Richard said. "That's why I'm offering you something that isn't a reward but an opportunity." He slid a folder across the desk. Inside was a job offer, training, benefits, stability. Not charity, trust. Marcus's throat tightened. "I don't have a degree." Richard smiled faintly. "You have character, I can teach the rest." Marcus looked at Lily, who squeezed his hand. He nodded. As they stood to leave, Richard extended his hand. Marcus shook it firmly. Outside, the city looked the same, but Marcus felt different. Not richer, not powerful. "Seen?" That night, as Marcus tucked Lily into bed, she looked up at him and whispered, "Daddy, you did the right thing." Marcus smiled. "So did you." Because sometimes one brave moment, guided by a child's heart, can change the course of a life forever.